Everyone, I hope you all can hear me okay. I'm Dr. Doris Mendiola, as Adolfo introduced us. So thank you so much for the introduction. We want to get right into this. So today's presentation, we will be, here we go. We will be, we just did our introductions. We're going to look at UTRGV priorities and mission statement. We'll be looking at the definition of community engagement. Also the designated service learning, the service learning designation. And then finally, we're looking at some really stellar examples of community engagement. So community engagement exemplified at UTRGV. So thank you all for joining us. We appreciate your time. And so thank you very much for being here. All right, so we'll start with the UTRGV mission statement, just very, very briefly. This is a brand new statement that was introduced to us at UTRGV in October, actually October 20th, I believe. And so this is something that this is the core of our work and what we're doing, right? So when UTRGV came to exist, there were working groups, obviously, right, to establish the mission and vision statements. And so that has evolved, and we have a brand new statement that was introduced to us just recently. And it is that UTRGV serves the Rio Grande Valley and beyond via an innovative and unique multicultural education dedicated to student access and success by championing leading research, healthcare, and application of university discoveries. We support sustainable development, community engagement, and well-being. And so, of course, this is still pending, right, in the approval process, right? But this is what the institution is putting forth and proposing as we move forward. And so the idea is here we see that there is a commitment on behalf of the institution to embrace community engagement. And so we're very, very excited that we're included in this language. This is something that's extremely, extremely important to us, and we're very, very excited about that. Moving on, our mission and mission statement here at our office, we focus on sustainable community university relationships to enrich scholarship, research, teaching, learning, creative activities, while addressing critical societal issues and contributing to the public good. So our office falls under the Division of Governmental and Community Relations within the institution. And we are an academic support unit. And then we're also a community support unit. And so we help our faculty members, we help our staff members. Obviously, we support our students. Ultimately, we want student success. And we also support our community partners. And so this is the mission of our office. So just to set the framework for today and what this presentation is going to look like, and we wanted to kind of just bring ourselves to the idea of what is community engagement, right? So we're looking at the Carnegie classification and what it has provided for us, and we'll talk about the Carnegie classification in a minute. But the definition that the university, that we as an institution subscribe to, is the collaboration between institutions of higher education and their larger communities for the mutually beneficial exchange of knowledge and resources in the context of partnership and reciprocity. And so I kind of wanted to just look at this for just very briefly, looking at these highlighted words, right? This is in a context of it's a collaboration, right, with a partner, and it's mutually beneficial. So there is an exchange of knowledge and resources, and it's in a context of this partnership and this reciprocity. So it's not a one-way relationship here. This is beyond just transactional, right? Just doing one thing for another. This is mutually beneficial. And so it's not transactional, but transformational. And so this is how we like to see our community engagement at the university. And again, this comes to us from the Carnegie Foundation elected classifications. One other note that the university in 2020 was recognized by the Carnegie Foundation as a classified as a community engagement institution. And so this is a great accolade of 119 universities in 2020 were recognized with this. This is a self-report designation. And so very, very exciting. And our commitment to being a community engaged university is I guess, reiterated by this or through this, that we see that we are a classified, an elective, Carnegie Foundation elective classification, right, institution. And so we're very, very excited about that. One final note before I hand it over to my colleagues for the rest of this presentation. One more thing I just wanted to kind of bring to mind and to light is, again, what has been proposed with the new strategic plan, right? And that is that there are focused priorities, which are academic excellence, student access and success, campus life, research and scholarship, health education, and patient care. And so those are like those strong, like those pillars, right? Those focused priorities. But cutting across obviously is going to be a huge emphasis on people, right? And those relationships. And with that is community engagement and integration. And so we're very excited to see this in the sense that, again, the institution is committed to, right, including community engagement and the integration of engagement in all that we do, right, across all of these focused priorities. And so we're very excited about this. This was sent on behalf of the president's office, I believe, in October. So if you haven't had a chance to look at this, I highly encourage you to look at it and learn more about our new strategic plan. So with that, I would like to hand it over to my colleague, Estela de la Garza, who is going to continue the conversation for the next while here. And so again, we thank you all for being here. Estela?
Thank you so much, Doris. I appreciate it. So let me just make sure. All right. Again, I'm Estela. I'm out of the Office of Engaged Scholarship and Learning under the Division of Student Success. So I'm always really excited, right, to partner across divisions, but, especially, with Doris and then with a few of our panelists that we'll be showcasing in just a bit. As we move forward, one of the things, that we talk a lot about in this integration, and as we see community engagement as a foundation, right, as we see here in these pillars, it's a foundation of the institution, is the different ways that we can participate in community engagement, whether it be in teaching, right, our scholarship, and our service. And so one of those highlights we like to talk about is teaching, right, and different way to teach and to integrate and to show your students and introduce your students to community engagement is through our service learning program. So at UTRGV, we do have an official service learning designation. We started this designation at the very beginning of UTRGV. And so we worked alongside faculty members, throughout and on different offices to come up with a definition that we could all embrace. And of course, when we looked at this definition, we really, you'll see that it mirrors the Carnegie Foundation's definition of community engagement, and right, that it's a thoughtfully organized service experience, that it addresses a need, right, in the community or in a community, that it has that reciprocal and mutually beneficial experience and relationship between those students and the partners, and our faculty members, right, that we reflect about how our students, what are students learning, what are the partners learning, and even what are we, as faculty members learning as well. And then, of course, that this experience aligns with the student learning outcomes. To facilitate that student learning, a lot of people usually hear me say, we want to connect, right, classrooms to the community. And we do this, and one way we could do this is through our service learning. Now, while I'm just briefly touching on service learning, I do want to note that we do have a minimum hour requirement within the service learning program where, you know, a 3-credit-hour course, it does require 9 hours of service that students are doing, whether it be direct or indirect. And so, and how do we go about doing that? You know, what happens, right? So we do have the designation process that has specific deadlines, and when do we want to be designating, and what kind of process does that go through? So when our faculty members are applying for the service learning course designation, they do complete a form which you can access through the QR or the bit link, or typing in utrgv.submittable.com. Faculty members will upload a syllabus and identify, you know, who their partners are, or if they need assistance with partners through our Office of Community Engagement, right? We have an amazing nonprofit resource center that can connect you with partners if you're not familiar with one. When you do submit that application, you know, meeting those, you know, the definition and meeting those core requirements, right? We, alongside the Center for Teaching Excellence, review, provide feedback if necessary, you know, and then of course, we begin tracking our student engagement on campus through our engagement zone portal. So faculty that do designate not only get the official designation certificate, but we also give the students an opportunity to have that record on our engagement zone platform. We also identify those courses, right, on the course catalog. And so there are different ways where courses have an S in the section. If we're able to modify the section number, we add an S. There's also now special groups, and we add a comment in there that the course has a specific community engaged component to it. Now, every course looks different. You know, I want to stress that, you know, we have a different session, totally different from this one, that kind of walks you through the actual doing every step, you know, what are best practices, what are things you should consider. But we definitely wanted to highlight important exemplified example, right, of community engagement through our partnerships, just so that you can get some insight on what you could potentially do and how your particular course could evolve through the designation, and how your teaching could definitely evolve as well. So I don't know what happened here. Might have skipped a little bit. So, oh, yes, I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I wanted to share some comments, you know, before we move into our panelists, of what are our students saying, you know, when they're participating in these experiences. So here are just a few examples, right? One says, you know, it allowed me to step one foot into the real world where I could make an impact. It benefited me personally and academically. It helped me learn and gain connections within the community. Some core learning outcomes, right, that we have for our students in service learning is that they do have those experiences that hopefully, you know, will get them those skills to be better prepared for their future careers, right? Some students don't get to connect with the community. Some of them just come right to class, go back home, and they don't see, or go to work, and they don't see anything outside of that. And so another way to get hands-on experiences that connect to what they're learning in your coursework. Now, so then, of course, we want to know, what are our partners saying? What are our faculty saying? And so so hopefully I don't skip too far ahead, but some community comments, right? The students are able to participate with us, provide support in different areas that pertain to their field of study. Students could also promote the importance, right, of literacy. This was a specific literacy organization. So many other community members they're expanding their impact, right? The continued partnership with classes has allowed them to make an impact in student learning, while allowing students to grow their skills and helping them expand programs. So just a little bit about, right, looking at when we're looking at community partners and how we can work together to facilitate that student learning is really important. And I know that our partners know that they're also facilitating that experience and allowing that mutual beneficial exchange of knowledge. And then, of course, that leads us to, our faculty. You all are, key to helping connect these students, and then, just teaching them in a different way. So a few comments from faculty, right? One is the goal is to teach students how to discover their purpose as they learn how to impact the community and the world through service, or to develop students for professional life while they serve alongside the community and apply their knowledge. Or it allows, students to boost their creativity and skills that empowers their lives for the rest of their careers. So these are things that our faculty are saying and how they see their students impacted or why they want to impact their students. And so with that, I think it's important to share, right, stories of successful ways that we can do service learning. This, obviously there's many different ways and we don't have a box that we make you conform to. At this time, we're going to move into just talking to some panelists about their service learning experience. And so, Erica Perez is one of our faculty members in our Learning Frameworks program at University College. She started in 2015 with integrating service learning into her Learning Frameworks courses. 2015 was our pilot of the first service learning cohort of faculty at the university. And so I know we'd love to hear from you, Erica, and your partners this semester. And I know that they've been with you for several years, but hear about how your service learning course has changed and how it's grown into what it is now today. Can you unmute, Erica?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now I'm just trying to get back to the page. Let me see. Oh no. There you go.
Yay.
I know, right? So as I was mentioning, I'm really grateful to Doris and Estela for allowing me to do this in my class, especially because the university itself has this value. And I appreciate also that exemplified in the strategic plan and the mission statement. So today we have, additionally to me, we have two important people. We have Mr. Robert Rueda. He's the director of the Baptist Student Ministry here at UTRGV. And then, of course, we also have Rosemary Luna. She is a current fall 2022 UNIV 1301 student who will be sharing about their experiences in service learning. And then, of course, Robert Rueda will be sharing about the experiences with our partnership as well. And we'll be hearing from them as we move forward. The first thing that I want to share is a little bit about one, why service is important to me and how I began to integrate service as a faculty. Two, I will also get to explain a little bit about how I integrated service learning into the UNIV 1301 classroom. And then three, I'll be sharing an example of how a partnership has evolved, specifically pertaining to the partnership with the BSM at UTRGV. And I want to highlight here the words in yellow that you see, because that is definitely one of my visions as part of this project, which is to empower future young professionals to jumpstart a lifetime of service. So definitely I want to empower students, especially first-year students, because that's who I serve and the population that I serve through the class, to think about how they can be future young professionals in their field as they consider where they're at in their community, like the people around them, and then also not only think about their community, but their place in their community. So definitely encouraging them to be active members in their community. So before I jump in and tell you a little bit about what's on the screen, I just want to share a little bit about what brought me into thinking about service and the value. Well, when I graduated with my master's program back in 2009, I definitely dedicated a whole year to think about service and actively serve in my community. I not only served here in the Valley from Brownsville all the way to San Isidro in different church communities and nonprofits like Buckner International, and then also the San Carlos Community Center, but I was also able to serve abroad. For example, teaching English in China or teaching English in Spain. And actually, as Estela was mentioning, that one of the things that I was remembering as we started the fall 2015 pilot program was that I actually submitted my service learning application designation while I was serving in Denia, Spain. And that was right before I was going to start as a full-time faculty here at UTRGV. So my value started there because I dedicated my life to live a lifestyle of service. And I also, as I thought about my career, I said, I want to integrate that value into what I do. But of course, I had to have a purpose, and that purpose continued to evolve because, as Estela mentioned, back in fall 2015, I just said, you know, guys, it's a good thing. This is going to benefit not only you, but the community. Here is a office that helps support, make that happen. They have the engagement zone portal, select a community agency, complete the 9 hours, and here's what is expected of you. That's how general it was, and that's how it started. So the outcome of all of that, through thinking about it, is spending more time in organizing the project. I was able to develop a teaching philosophy in support of community engagement. I was able to develop service learning objectives in support of the student learning outcomes in our class. I was able to develop also partnerships with community agencies in the Rio Grande Valley. And then I was also able to conceptualize what the service learning project looked like. So I want to mention that for faculty who are thinking about doing this integration of service learning as a high impact strategy in their course, it takes a lot of thinking. And a lot of those thinking were actually spent in faculty learning communities, in workshops, in continuing education offered at that point by Faculty Success, by workshops. So all those touch points where reflection was spent in order to be able to develop what the project will look like. And I'll share with you a little bit about what my service learning objectives are. So you start thinking about how that's important in the concept of what UNIV 1301 is. And for those of you guys that may not know what a UNIV 1301 course is, this is a first-year experience course. The population that is served is students who are just transitioning from a high school environment to a university environment. In the class, they definitely, one of the things that we do is help them navigate during their first year. So not only are they learning about skills that they need in order to be successful as a student, but they're learning about motivation, they're learning about habits, behaviors, choices that they need to think about. So as I ran within that concept of the course, I developed service learning objectives. as part of the project. And I'll read you some. One of the objective for a service learning project in my class is to help students reflect upon their sense of civic responsibility through civic engagement. So helping students think about their responsibility within the community through an action-oriented response, which is actually serving. And then, of course, to help them think about relevant career-related skills that they can develop or that they can apply through the formation of relationships and service to community agencies, that they're able to connect their career goals, passions, and interests with contributions made to the community, that they're able to identify characteristics and the role of our community's language, people, culture through community-based concepts. So those are my service learning objectives that I, through a lot of thought and planning, created so that students didn't feel like I was just sending them out to serve, but there was a connection to what they were doing in the classroom and also outcomes that I clearly was thinking about as they were out there engaging. And as you can see here now, as we look at and pay attention to the screen, you can see here a snapshot of partnerships that I developed this fall 2022 as part of the service learning project. 160 UNIV students this semester participated in an experiential learning opportunity. You can see here several specific organizations like BSM at UTRGV, who is a partner who will be sharing a little bit about what my students did and talking about the benefits through the partnership. Be the Match, Palm Valley Animal Society, the Hidalgo Youth Center. So collectively, UNIV students were able to provide more than 1,440 hours of service to community agencies in the Rio Grande Valley. And those are actual pictures of students in action at those community agencies. And then here, as we transition into talking a little bit about the partnership that I developed with the BSM at UTRGV and how that evolved, I want to say here that the partnership has evolved in dynamic ways. It didn't start with what you see here. It simply started with joining in and connecting with an organization here on campus that their lifeline on campus is to serve UTRGV students, faculty, and staff. So I said, well, what a great opportunity to join in with an organization that has a value that I have. So as you're thinking about building partnerships, I want to encourage faculty to think about who are those community agencies in our community that have common values that you may have. And of course, I saw that DNA within the BSM, and I said, this is a great place because it's here on campus. They are all about wanting to serve students, especially UTRGV students, and they have values that I have. And I had Robert Rueda come to my class to talk about what service is and in what ways do they serve. And actually, I know Diana Noreen Rivera was asking what campus. They are both here in the Edinburgh and Brownsville campus. They're also at the A&M McAllen campus. They're also at the SCC campus. So they're a cross valley organization. And if you're wondering about where I'm at, well, I have taught in both the Edinburgh and Brownsville campuses, and I have conducted service learning in both campuses. But our partnership evolved. So I started off by just simply inviting Robert to talk about service in my class, and that continued to evolve with me sending students to join them in some of the outreach that they were doing to our community through the Global Blends Cafe, which is their fighting food insecurity on campus. Of course, through the SCXI Festival, which was a festival that allowed students to have some connection with community leaders here in the Rio Grande Valley. Also, I was able to host UNIV meetups at the BSM. So they also were a place for my students and for some of my events. different conferences. And then of course, one specific partnership and service project that will be the focus of today is the adult hygiene kits. So this is a project that has been in collaboration with not only the BSM at UTRGV, but Initiative 13.2, and then also the River Ministry, which one, we identified a need in our community, which is the humanitarian border crisis. And then of course, the biggest need through the humanitarian border crisis was hygiene. So then my students actually created with special funding from the Office of Office of Estela, right? That could be her office actually, of Engaged Scholarship and Learning. My students created adult hygiene kits, and of course, Rosemary will be talking more about her experience, the benefits, and how all of that connects to her major. So in essence, that's a brief overview of what you can anticipate hearing today through Robert Rueda and then also Rosemary Luna. And then there will be an opportunity for questions to be asked as well.
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Robert Rueda, and I serve with the Baptist Student Ministry. We're a 501c3 organization in the state of Texas. And our focus is to mobilize students for service, not only in their communities, but also around the world. So throughout the year, we work with students to develop skills. And for us, a student that has the skills both to connect their professional career with a lifestyle of service is key, because we believe that college students are so strategic to the future of their communities and the world. And people have said that college campuses are the most strategic places to bring about change in entire generations, because you have a high concentration of young adults in a very small mile radius, and the incredible impact that mobilizing those students for service can be, it's just amazing. And one of the things that we tell students all the time is, when you graduate from college, you will not have a syllabus that will dictate how you're going to really live your next years. But now you're going to have your convictions, you're going to have your passion. And so there is a big difference between a young professional, a college grad, how they approach life living, right? Some people, it's just to go to work and that's it. However, what we want to do is implement the idea that work is just one more tool in their belt to live an incredible life. And we believe that service is the outlet to all the tools we acquire throughout our lifestyle. So throughout our lifetime. So that's why we're so passionate about service. And when I remember, I've been serving at the UTPA and now UTRGV community for 18 years. And I remember when the announcement was made that there was going to be a designation, service designation offered for specific courses. And I thought, well, they should make every course a service designated course, because really what we're seeking to produce is professionals that look at the world at a different way. And the world is a place where people have needs, and there are other people that are able to meet those needs, so that then in turn, those people can meet the needs of other people. So that's why we were fully on board to participate and partner as much as we can, because the passion of service, I believe it's really important. And I was really sold out at the idea. Remember when UTRGV was inaugurated, the slogan of "I will change the world." And that to me was just like, oh, this is, it's like, we're like a match, because we believe in changing the world. And you do that through service. You do that through approaching your workplace, approaching everything you do throughout your day with a lifestyle of service. So for us, when we began partnering with the university, we really wanted to make sure that we honored the whole idea of volunteerism. There are a lot of the key components of a great volunteer, and a great experience for a volunteer is, one, that they learn something, that their time is being maximized while they're doing that, and that they're able to make a difference either immediately or in the long term. And so when we approached the UNIV courses, particularly Ms. Perez, about partnering with us, we wanted to find out, okay, so what are your goals? And I really like that idea of jumpstart a lifetime of service. Okay, so how do we do that? So the way you do that is through exposure. So we wanted to expose students at UNIV classes to needs, right? We teach a skill called mapping. How, when you map your community, what are some of the needs that you see, and what can you do with your skill set and your training to meet those needs? So we began this partnership, and she began inviting me to go and talking to the students about service. And then we started gaining some tractions, because as you know, our generation today, they are being wired to serve and to be inspired. Students want to be inspired today. And contrary to what a lot of people think, social media, it could be a great catalyst for inspiring others, right? Because you go there and you hear about crowdsourcing, for example, which is big with college students, that a bunch of people can make a difference at once in an immediate time, in a quick return time. And so students are really ready for that. They understand that they can make a difference, but now we need to give them the outlets to do so. And that's why it's so important that we want to tell as many people as we can to be like, use your courses and designate lifetime, take a little bit of time to teach about service. It doesn't matter if any background, any class, any career. I think it would be amazing if they would take some time off of their semester to teach service. And so they can connect the dots, right? And so our partnership began that way. So offering opportunities for students, but at the same time, helping us meet needs. Because as a 501c3, one of the key problems we have is sometimes we're overwhelmed with the needs that we have, the demands we have on organizations. I guarantee you that all nonprofit organizations in the Rio Grande Valley are overwhelmed. They have to fundraise money. They have to meet the needs. They have to keep admin. They have to manage volunteers and get volunteers. One of the main requests we get all the time is that orgs do is we need more volunteers. So if you were to have that place where you can provide those volunteers would be amazing. So when we bring those students in, then we began connecting needs. So the students and the Miss Parent students, they've served in our deli, for example. We operate a deli that is the Valley's only pay what you want model based. So you go to it and all the menu prices, are gone. So you just look at the menu as a student and you decide what you want, and then you order it, and then they ask you a question: how much would you like to donate? And then students decide based on their ability to donate whether they are going to do $1 or $7 or whatever. But what we do provide is food with dignity, because it doesn't matter if you donate 20 cents or $10, you're going to get the same food. You're going to be able to sit around with your peers and eat a meal and not be singled out. So the only way we can do that is through volunteers. So for us to have every semester volunteers from the UNIV course for a specific amount of time is really great, because it really helps us boost our morale as an organization. And then the students get trained, and then many of them actually return, even when their hours are not being counted. They like the cost so much, or they like the feeling produced by the cost, that they want to continue doing that. And that's exactly what the long-term goal is, right? That they will see that the more they serve, the better they will feel about themselves, and the better job they will do in their workplace, in their family, and in their communities. So our partnership began like that, providing opportunities and seeing needs. And then obviously over the past few years, we've had that humanitarian crisis and we needed to put some hygiene kits together because we were having a high demand. So Ms. Perez resourcefully found donations across the campus, and they were able to put 750 hygiene kits together this fall semester. And so they came to our organization, assembled them, and then they're going to be receiving a report of how those hygiene kits are having an impact directly on people. So that's another key component that our organization seeks to provide to students, not only the outlets for service, but also to be able to see the result of their service. They can see it right there, and that's the one thing that we're going to be providing to them, a direct result of that. So how do we work together? How has it been changing over time? I encourage you that at first, your organization or your attempts to partner with an organization are going to be sometimes a little bit tricky, but you will find a match. You will find a place where students feel great, and you will hear from your students the report back. And then with those, I encourage you to invest in those partnerships, to continue developing those relationships, so that then it just becomes kind of an automatic thing. I already know that come November or early April, we're going to get volunteers. And so that is already built in our ethos as an organization, that we're going to get a morale boost, and we're going to have projects that we can have UNIV students or UTRGV students help us meet. So I encourage you to invest a little bit of time finding that match of an organization, so that then they can help you with the goals that you have. So, and it's worth the investment. So I also, another thing that has really helped us as an organization, and we've been able to have this partnership over several years now, is that the students, when they come, if they have a meaningful experience in their service, they do not forget. So for example, they might just get that in their first year, their second year, their third or their fourth year, but then when they graduate, they're going to think about the organization where they served. So I've gotten students that serve with BSM that later on, when they graduate, they already have a built-in network of service. They know how, if in their school, for example, their teachers, and they have like, hey, we need to do a food drive for this or for that, or we need to find a place. They remember when they were in college, oh, this is an organization where we can partner with. So it really gives them that early exposure to develop a network where they can continue lifestyle of service even beyond college. So that's another direct benefit that we have seen, that it's been mutually beneficial for us, because we have needs and your students can meet those needs. And so we're really, really thankful for that. Another thing that for us is really important is that when the student ends their small exposure to service, that there's a seed planted there, that there's a desire to see more of that impact. And so we have this philosophy of local impact, local focus, global impact. So the idea that what you do here can have an impact beyond the university. And so this idea, it's really important that we try to instill in the students so that their service is transformational. We really seek to not only say, hey, here are the volunteers, put them to work, but here are the volunteers. How can we be in this together? And I think that's something that the students need to know, is that it's not a transaction to serve, but it is an investment of yourself in serving. Because a lot of times we see things transactional, that there is a reason why the donation boxes and parking lots that you see are always full, because that's a transaction donation, and it's not even thinking about like, how is this going to make a difference, right? But the whole idea is to put the story behind it. What happens when you donate? What happens when you invest? What happens when you are fully aware of where you're investing your resources, such as time and finances? So we seek to create that awareness of a lifestyle of service so that students are invested. And I really like what you were sharing earlier as you were sharing the goals, is doing public good, right? Imagine if every person thought that way. And I think that's the goal, right? That we should strive our best to develop that. So I want to close by thanking you for having that vision to designate service learning courses, because that provides a boost to the organization. And thank you for partnering with BSM. Thank you for providing volunteers and allowing us to believe together in that goal of Rio Grande Valley transformation and to have an impact around the world. So I wanted to close with that. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Rosemary?
Can everyone hear me? Okay. Well, hello everyone. Thank you for having me today. My name is Rosemary Luna, and I am a biology major, and I am a freshman here at UTRGV. And I am part of the UNIV 1301 program. I don't know, I'm not too sure. It's a class that I'm in. And I was very fortunate to be a part of the Adult Hygiene Kit project. I found it to be very, very inspirational to be a part of. I wasn't very much aware of how much of an impact that what the programs here at UTRGV can have. This was a very good thing to be a part of. I've been a part of very many volunteer opportunities, and I really enjoyed them in high school, but this program might have been the most influential for me and most impactful that I've ever been a part of. It's adult hygiene kits that we were making, and what the purpose of this program or service was that we would create adult hygiene kits. So essentially we put in shampoo, we put in toothbrush, toothpaste, we put in soap, and I think that was deodorant as well. And what we also included was little notes in there. They were in Spanish, of course. All of them were in Spanish, and they were just notes that said, you can do it, good luck, just things that will hopefully probably get to somebody and maybe lift them up and inspire them to keep on going, because going at the border is not an easy job. Essentially, you're at the border and you're being held up there, and one of the main problem there is that people there might not have the proper hygiene there to get a good shower or just anything, because it's very difficult there. People may not have the proper resources, and what our goal was, it was to give them those resources and to give them a helping hand there, to know that we are with them. Many people are with them, and my teammates were with them, and it was a good thing that we're a part of, and I really enjoyed myself. So what the goal was also to reach those people, but we had a goal of 750. We assembled 750 kits, and what we gave 450 to the River Ministry, I believe, and 300 to Initiative 13.2, and those were the organizations that we were partnered with. And Initiative 13.2 and River Ministry were religion-based, and they obviously had the goal of reaching people and doing good for their community. And yes, it was a very good opportunity that we were a part of. And well, since I'm a biology major, it was a very good thing for me, because hygiene, of course, is associated with biology. And what I want to do in my future career is endorse being a doctor, a surgeon. I really like that. The human anatomy is very interesting to me. And it was very interesting to see that it was very interesting to be a part of this, because I know that in the future I will be needing to care for people, and not only care for people physically, but this was also a good thing, because if you're a doctor, of course you need to help people, but you also need to help their well-being mentally. it's not just helping them physically. And this was a good thing because I really like knowing that maybe, I guess, these notes or this purpose, the purpose of this was maybe going to help someone being lifted up. Like, you don't know what those people are going through. You have absolutely no idea. I personally know people at the border, and it's so hard hearing what they're going through. And that was a good thing, knowing that maybe this will help people go through things. So yes.
Well, thank you all for sharing your stories, for just showing how different, right, service learning can be and how it can change throughout the years, but also change and make an impact to each party differently, right, as our partners, our students, and faculty members. I think at this time, we have a few minutes to answer any questions that y'all might have. If you might have any questions for our panelists, that would be great. You can feel free to unmute your mic or post those in the chat.
Can hear me. I wanted to reiterate something that Mr. Reda shared. So thank you, Rosemary, and thank you, Ms. Reda, for sharing your perspectives, right? Because it's so important from the institutional perspective, right, to gather that information so that we have something to continue to inform us to make decisions along the way. One of the points that Mr. Reda shared was that of that, that instead of it being just transactional, right? Again, it hits us, we go back to that. We want it to be transformational. And I think that in hearing these stories, right, hearing what we're all sharing is that it does change how we think about things sometimes through service, right? And it's just extremely important. I think it's just really good to hear that. I have a question for Rosemary. As a student, from a student perspective, if you had this opportunity to do again in other courses, right, not just the UNIV course, but other courses as you're going through this process, would you choose this? Why or why not?
Yes, of course. In high school, I was very much involved with volunteering opportunities. I was a part of many programs, and we would go out in our community. But if I had the option of going around with other courses, of course I would. It's very fun, and I love being a part of it. And just not the courses, but I would do this like voluntarily by myself. The engagement zone has many opportunities on there. Our UTRGV is a very good place to go about things, not just volunteering opportunities, but we have so many connections. And that's one thing that I wasn't very much aware of. And I would very much do this voluntarily, especially a program or a service like this, getting out to people who are not just here in our community, but outside of our community. And I would very much do this again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rosemary. And I think that's something that a lot of our students, we survey our students at the end of every semester, all service learning students. And this last FY, over 97% of the students indicated that they would choose to take another service learning course if they were offered that opportunity. And so this is why we do programming like this, to encourage faculty to know that while maybe those students initially might have a little bit of hesitancy, overwhelmingly that flips when they begin the experience, especially when our faculty are following the best practices that we see and that we've applied in that designation application. We do have a couple of questions in the chat, so I'd like to address those. what kind of funding is the university making available to host the functions shown, like in the UNIV 1301 course photos in particular, but also generally service learning / community engagement. Is there an application process to apply for course funding? Great question. This is something that we talk about in our offices all the time, over and over again. And so, you know, while at this current time, like within our Office of Engaged Scholarship and Learning, we don't have a designated set of particular funding that says like, these are all for our service learning courses. That does not mean that we can't make sure that it's important and that we won't fund a particular project. We usually do fund a few course requests per year, and that's like throughout the year. You know, Erica Perez sent me an email. We don't have an application process for like throughout the semester funding. But if you send an email letting me know, right, if you are this would be specifically for designated courses, but you have the designation, the brief description of the project, what impact, you know, how are the students being involved, you know, what that partnership looks like, and then how much funding are you seeking and for, you know, what. And so for this specific one, you know, Erica provided not just a quick brief email, but a good snapshot of what was happening, how that was impacting, you know, it provided photos. You know, and it allowed me to send a quick email to our team leadership and say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and fund this particular project. We funded other faculty in similar ways, you know, even for like undergraduate research experiences within the course, but also, you know, specifically service learning. At the end, you know, usually in the summer, we will open up an application specific to service learning funding to fund like the next FY projects. And so we do send that to all service learning faculty. And we usually fund anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000 per semester for the entire like group that, you know, that applies, right? We usually have about 10 faculty that will request, and we fund up to $500 around there, sometimes a little more, just depending on what type of funding we have available for that. I hope that answered. And I know that we have, you know, been in discussion, right, with Office of Community Engagement and seeing like how else can we support. We do support right through faculty professional development kind of things, and we work that a little separately because we are committed to that community engaged component through service learning. Then is it too late for spring 2023 designation? That particular application is open throughout the fiscal year. And so it is currently open. If a faculty member, you know, I actually met with someone yesterday, and I think she's sending me something this weekend. We will do that on a case-by-case basis, just depending on the level of support that might be needed. So when we meet with our faculty members individually, if you already have all those best practices in place and there isn't like extensive like or extra faculty development needed, then we will you know, go ahead and designate in the interim, as long as we can still put that up on the registrar's area. So we're, you know, if you submit that, look at the application, it's very you know, like it's not, you see the whole application at one time, so it doesn't take a lot of time as long as you have those components already embedded. And okay, could either Office of Community Engagement, Engaged Scholarship and Learning help students in the course with getting record check through the service learning? Can you do you mean by funding background checks? I think I need a little bit more detail.
Yeah, I'm just imagining that they'll need that to actually participate in anything involving high school students. And so like I'm guessing that they need an official form on letterhead from the university saying this is the purpose of this, and beyond simply coming from the philosophy department.
Okay.
And whatever the I don't think it costs that much, but if there is a way to have that cost covered, that would be fantastic.
So we don't have funding to fund like background checks and all. However, usually when any of the partnerships happen within the districts, they go through the district application process and the district takes on that particular cost. I've never had, and Doris, you might want to add something, but I've never had where a district does not, because they'll be serving directly with the school district. Now, we do have, I'm trying to think, I think I missed one of the things I wanted to say about that as well. But for sure, that's just my experience. Doris, do you want to add?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Usually the school district will incur that cost when the benefit is, to those students. I don't know of any funding opportunities that we've had in the past to cover the background checks. I think it goes back to the district where the students will be serving. So, but we could certainly help with those conversations if that's something that, we can support you if you decide, okay, you want to work with a particular school district. We're happy to, help with those conversations if you feel that is appropriate.
Excellent. Thank you. I'll be in touch.
And then letter of introduction, like we do have like a template that we could provide, just introducing that this is a service learning course. Of course, just in following, like best practices, usually, we have like a set, a few partners or 1 to, 5 partners in a particular course, depending if the faculty member has already identified those. And so, we do, highly encourage those conversations directly with those partners so that we are respecting, right, their particular needs and their resources as well. So yeah, we can talk, we definitely meet individually with faculty very often. Okay, so we have another question. This might be for you, Doris, I'm not sure. So I think more tenured and tenure track PhDs would engage in publicly engaged scholarship and community engagement if departmental promotion guidelines valued and ensured promotional recognition and credit towards promotion. Is the Office of Community Engagement working with the college's department heads to make this community work teaching count for tenured and tenure track professors?
Question, thank you. So those conversations are always taking place. I mean, our leaderships are always, that is the ground and fundamental, right? The framework of this work, right? And so I can assure you that those conversations are absolutely taking place, and we are doing everything that we can to support, that component, right? So we want to make sure that our faculty feels supported, and that the work that they're doing, right, gets the recognition and through different processes, right? There's different ways of that. And so to answer the question, yes, those conversations are taking place through our leadership, right? And they take time. It's a process. It's so, but we're very aware, and we continue to kind of keep track of that and want to continue that work. So I hope I answered the question. Yeah.
We do. So do we write letters of support for faculty? We do get those requests, and at least for my office, when we have designated service learning faculty, we do write letters of support upon request. We also, for the designated service learning faculty, those will get like a certificate indicating that they have the designation, and for the 3 years, we'll also send a letter usually like a month or 2 before. We send it twice. So upon your designation, but then we'll also send it before those portfolios are due, because we'll start hearing, from those that are like really early birds, and then we'll be like, let's just send them out again, just so that they're not lost somewhere. So we'll send those for portfolios. And then we also share, right, what's the engagement that your student has had, how many hours have they done, and who have they partnered with, right? We share that report. And on top of that, to also support faculty portfolios, we'll also have specified community engagement surveys that we have for the students that participate in service learning, records for you and your courses. And so, you know, Erica gets a report at the end of every semester that indicates this is what your students said, so that faculty can make changes if necessary, right? If there is a particular concern, or students are, you know, are doing great, and they'll report it there. And so all of those, to support faculty and things that we've had along the way, you know, come up. So those are ways that we'll support showcasing the work that you're doing through the service learning designation.
Thank you all for your participation today. We sincerely appreciate it, especially to our panel. Erica, thank you so much for bringing your partners on board. Mr. Reda, we appreciate your contributions to this conversation, and Rosemary as well. We sincerely appreciate your perspective as a student. It's extremely important that that voice be heard in this process as we have these conversations. So thank you all. We also have seen, you know, all faculty, we appreciate your support. Know that we are here to support you. Any questions that you may have, you have our contact information. Please feel free to reach out to any of us. We're here to support you and to help navigate this process. If this is something that you feel you really want to pursue, we are absolutely here to help with that. So with that, I think we'll close. Thank you for the questions that have come across. Reach out to us if y'all need anything. Thank you to the Center for Teaching Excellence as well for allowing us this opportunity. So back to you, Adolfo.
Thank you so much, everybody. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend and stay safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.